Hello everyone, it is Editor Kayla here, and I just have a couple of things I wanted to say to preface this episode. So firstly, the episode title is pretty self-explanatory. Sammi and I are going to be talking about the K-dramas that we have watched so far this year, but as I was editing, I noticed that we are particularly bad at giving spoilers for a few of the shows that we have watched, and not the best at putting out spoiler warnings for when we do so. So I'm just going to put out a blanket warning for all of the shows. If you hear the title of a show that we talk about and you don't want to hear spoilers to it, to maybe not listen to that section of the podcast. And I'm going to throw out a select few dramas ahead of time that I know we are very bad at giving spoilers at. So if you haven't listened to or watched any of these shows and you don't want to hear spoilers, I would definitely recommend skipping the entire section we talk about that. And so those shows would be Lookout or The Guardians, True Beauty, Rookie Historian Go Haerung, Save Me 1 and Save Me 2, and The Uncanny Counter. So if you are looking to not be spoiled on any of those shows in particular, I highly recommend just skipping over the entire section where we talk about those shows. But yes, so after that warning, I hope you guys enjoy the episode.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Slappin Kpop podcast. I'm Sammi, and with me today is Kayla.
Hello.
And we're gonna do a different type of episode. So instead of reviewing one drama, we're gonna do like mini reviews of the dramas that we've watched recently.
A whole bunch of dramas, yeah.
Whole bunch of shows from a whole bunch of countries.
Yes.
And so, how has 2021 been for dramas this year? Just generally.
Generally.
We are recording this at the beginning of April. God knows when we're going to put this up.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on.
It's just there.
Mm-hmm.
So how's it been so far for you?
So I've watched a lot more dramas this year so far than I usually do. None of them really, a couple of them have been 2021 shows, but a lot of them have been just older shows that I'm like finally getting around to watching. The 2021 ones that I have seen, two of them are very good. The other one, maybe the worst show I've attempted to watch in a really long time. So,
ooh, fun.
You know,
so we're gonna get the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Varying quality all around there. So
yeah. So I have watched. I think I'm on par with how I usually am. I feel like drama watching is very. I'm constantly watching something, but I'm always just like sporadically. Like there are days where I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
But like I'm on par with how I usually am. I've watched a lot of shows, and generally it's the beginning of the year. There's not that many 2021 dramas out there right now that I'm interested in. I've watched a couple, and most of the 2021 dramas are shows that started airing in 2020 that finished in 2021.
Yeah.
So that's mainly that.
That's
and
really
a bunch
all that
of shows
we have had time for, too.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of shows that I just didn't watch for years. And, like, we'll get into a bunch of them that are now, like, so good.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So, any quick ones that you don't want to talk about in depth? Because I have, like, two that I don't want to talk about in depth that I just want to say quick things about.
Okay. I don't have that many shows generally, so.
Okay. There's two quick ones I want to talk about. One, I actually watched that Zhao Jun drama called Hello My Youth, which is that short web show. That show's terrible. That show has 2 sets. It's budget of a sandwich, I think. Mm-hmm. And Zhao Jun, okay actor, needs some work. But also I can't tell if that's just because there's zero material in the show and it's just bad. It only takes an hour to watch. Don't waste your hour and a half.
Good.
Don't waste your time. It's not worth it. Don't waste your time. I wasted my time. I gave that, I think, like, the acting's okay for what it is, which is just, you know, budget of a sandwich level type show. I think I ended up giving that a 3 out of 10.
Great. Wonderful.
Mainly because I reserve 2s. I kind of reserve 3s and 2s and 1s for shows I don't actually finish. If you're not even good enough for me to finish, that's when you get a 1 from me.
Okay.
My scale, if I am willing to finish it, because I will just drop a show. I'm not a completionist in that way. Then you at least get like a 3 to a 4. Mm-hmm. So that's what, if you get a 4 from me, you're shit. That's where the shit goes.
You just real bad, yeah.
You'll see some 4s.
Good.
All right.
That's fun.
And the other one is I have this year decided to watch every Hui Tian drama, which is Tall Man from Tears of Ferris Wheel.
Famously known from Tears of a Ferris Wheel.
Famously known from Tears of a Ferris Wheel. I watched A Love So Beautiful, which got a Korean remake. The original Chinese one is decent. 8 out of 10. Liked it. Didn't love it. And then I watched You Complete Me. That's a 4. I hated it.
Oh.
It was bad. He was great. The story's terrible. I wanted a revenge plot. It's not a revenge plot. Moving on. Now we get to the good shows.
Okay.
Would you like to start?
Well, my first show isn't a good show, so I watched Alice in Borderland, which is a Netflix.
You kind of watched Alice in Borderland.
I watched it in the span of like an hour and a half because I was
I think that is 6 episodes, people. I think that's 6 hours.
It's not that long of a show. It's a short show in comparison. It's very not good. I dislike everything about it.
Yes.
And to put this into perspective, we've had like a running discourse on anime recently, just like
long
in the Slapper conversation, and I am like very much into like killing game like animes. Like that is my thing.
Has seen more killing game and anime and read more killing game manga than I knew existed.
I think I've read like 15 or 16 of them.
I didn't know there were
completely different series.
Yes.
And so, like, Alice in Borderland is, like, right in there as, like, a killing game, like, show. And it is based off of a manga. So, like, I felt like I should have liked it. And I disliked, like, everything about it. Because I think it's very poorly executed. The concept of it is very cool. It's, like, these 3 friends wake up in, like, an abandoned Tokyo one day. And they're all of a sudden told they have to play these weird, like, death game type things in order to keep living. Essentially, they like gain like days that they're allowed to be alive in this world. And so that in theory sounds really cool, except for the fact that the storyline goes completely off the rails in the middle of the season, because this whole plot of like there's this like commune living on the beach who are trying to overthrow the system, but like everything involving in that was just so uninteresting to me that I couldn't care about any of it at all. I didn't really also like the main characters really at all. So that also did not help. I also, when I finished the show, I was like, because it ends on a cliffhanger because it's setting up a season 2, and I looked up the ending to the manga because I knew the manga was done, and the ending of the manga ruins the whole show for me too. Oh yeah. So that didn't help at all.
We were on a Discord call, as we are a lot of times when we're watching dramas. That is a very known thing. Mm-hmm. And I think I was there for the entirety of Alice in Borderland, because it took you like an hour and a half. That's it. Mm-hmm. I was there for the entirety of it, and like you just got more frustrated as it went. You were just like, I hate this.
I'm like, what? I was like, literally, like, what's happening? Like, it was like, it just got worse and worse the longer the show went on.
And then you went on the thing of like, I think it took you almost longer to figure out the ending of the manga than it did to watch the show.
Yeah, I was like, well, now I need to know like what actually is going on to see if that makes me watching the show any better, and it did not. It made it worse.
It actually made it worse.
Made it a lot worse. So.
So that was not good.
Yep.
So my first one is a show that I don't know how I feel about this show. So I watched Tharn Type 2 7 Years of Love. Tharn Type is my favorite type BL drama I've ever seen. I loved it. This show, unfortunately, it takes place 7 years later, and it just picks up with the couple later on. The plot of this show goes off the rails. The plot is almost absolute nonsense. I know it is still based on the novel. It's just really weird. Like, they drop half the characters from season 1. Then they pick up with characters I don't care about. And it's just a lot. The problem is I love the characters and I love the actors. But every new thing that they bring up, I'm not loving. I don't love it. Like, the new characters, Fiat and Leo, are like, not great. The only saving grace of that show is I love Champ and the Doctor storyline, but overall, the show was...
That's disappointing.
I was very sad, and also, like, I don't feel like... And the worst problem is, like, when you have a couple that spend an entire show becoming better people, I feel like a lot of them progressed backwards in this show. Yeah. And I'm like, how have you have... This does not feel like you've been together for 7 years. 7 years is a very long time to be together. For you to still be having the same problems you had when you first got together. Constantly. So, there were moments that I loved. Mainly the moments with Archetype and with the Doctor and Champ. But a lot of it was just not what I wanted from this show. And also the tease of the wedding that we didn't get.
So sad.
They teased every trailer was they're gonna get married, and they didn't get married. Spoilers, they didn't get married.
That's like what's the point of that anymore?
What's the point? I was so sad. But overall, it was a disappointment, but I had fun for the lighter moments of it. But the plot I was not a fan of. Sad. I think I gave it like an 8 out of 10 only because I am like...
Because you're
a sucker for those characters.
Right. And it's like even more disappointing when it's like a sequel to like a show you like and then it just goes off the rails.
I feel like as more time passes and I can objectively look at the show, the rating of that show will sink. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it'll go ever like lower than like a 7. Mm-hmm. Because I do like the character so much, and the actors are really good in the roles, and there are moments I find extremely entertaining, extremely funny. But like, oh my god, did I have high expectations? And maybe that was on me. Maybe I don't need to have those expectations. Maybe I don't lower the expectations. Make a better show.
Right. Sad.
Like, don't make a grown... Like, don't... I find Fiat quite annoying. That's really where I'm going. Fiat is annoying.
He sucks.
He sucks. Moving on.
So, my next show is really kind of 2 shows in one. So, I saw that they put Voice 2 on Netflix, and I had watched Voice 1 several years ago, like the year that originally came out, essentially. And so I decided, well, I'll watch the second season because I really enjoyed the first one. Voice, for those who don't know, is a crime show, and it essentially centers around like an emergency call center team who the woman running that center has like a supernatural hearing ability to hear sounds that other people can't have. And so she is sort of leading the center and also this like team of like police officers and detectives who help solve crimes and everything. So I watched Voice 2 on Netflix, really enjoyed that, then realized that apparently it connects directly to Voice 3. So then I had to go look up Voice 3, City of Accomplices, and also watch that because it ends Voice 2 very much on a cliffhanger. And I was not at all expecting Voice 2 and Voice 3 to be connected plot-wise because Voice 2 is not at all connected to Voice 1. They switch out the entire main cast of Voice 1 and Voice 2 apart from the main character. So I wasn't expecting Voice 2 and Voice 3 to be connected, but they were. But I really enjoyed it a lot.
Voice seems like a show that you would like.
Yeah, and I do think I enjoy the overarching, like, plotline of Voice 2 and 3 more than I enjoyed the plotline of Voice 1. To be honest, I watched Voice 1 so long ago now that I don't honestly remember what it's about. Voice 2 sort of centers on, a serial killer who, like, cuts off, like, parts of, like, humans generally, and then, like, sells them on the black market. And then Voice 3 kind of gets into how that's connected to this, like, global, like, dark web, just dark web, like black market dealings of stuff. So I think they connected it really well because they both seem like very separate shows and are dealing with like separate problems that they do combine. Like overarching plotline is very good, and I thought it was very good. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, that show just seems like a very you show, and
it definitely like the crime. Is.
You've seen all of the crime shows.
I've literally watched like every single crime drama like possible. I've watched like Signal Tunnel, like all of them. That's like my favorite genre of K-dramas, and I don't know why. More. Because I don't watch American crime dramas, but like I love Korean crime dramas for some reason.
Yeah. So my next show is one of 2 Eunwoo starring shows that I have watched in the first 3 months of this year, because that's what everyone needs more of in their life.
More Eunwoo shows. More Eunwoo.
Eunwoo's a great actor. I love him. So I finally watched Rookie Historian Go Haerang, which is Eunwoo's historical drama where he plays a prince, and essentially it is about this main girl who becomes a palace historian when they finally open that up to something that women can be. And the marketing for this show does focus very much that it is like a very comedic show. Eunwoo's this like spoiled prince, then it's this girl and the whole machinations with like palace and like the, you know, they're girls, they're gonna be historians, that whole thing. There was so much political intrigue in this show. I loved it. Not even so much like the romance between Eunwoo and the girl. Yes, great, wonderful, adorable, loved that. But when those shows are just that, which a lot of historical shows become just that, it's boring. They're in a palace. Show me the political intrigue. Show me the scandal. Show me all of that. That's where the interest comes. And this show delivered it. It had a conspiracy. It had a, I don't want to spoil too much. It had, like, political intrigue. It had different people playing different roles. It had a bunch of characters. Everything interconnects. You slowly see it unfold. It's amazing. Also, spoilers, a lot of random white people, and I've also never seen so much persecution of the Catholics. That was the most random storyline.
So entertaining, because I essentially got to hear all your live commentary while you were watching this, and you were just like, there's a lot of persecutions of the Catholics, and I'm like, what show are you watching right now?
Like, it's like, where is historical drama. Yeah, Eunwoo's here persecuting the Catholics. Here. No, Eunwoo is not persecuting the Catholics. He's fine. But like, yeah, it's great. It's so much better than I expected it to be. Like, I like, mainly because I think that a show entirely about political intrigue can also be a lot, and a show that's entirely a romantic comedy set in historical period is not my type of show. Mm-hmm. I like historical dramas, but I like very particular, like, they're very hit and miss for me.
Oh, yeah.
And they're also so long and such a time commitment.
I've only seen, like, 2 historical dramas, and they might as well have been the same show. Like,
yeah.
There's only so much you can do with that, yeah.
They get very samey, and, like, this show was 40 episodes. Like, this show was long.
Oh, that's so long.
Yeah. This show was, I mean, they were 40, but it's, like, 35 minutes an episode. Like, they're short episodes, but still, they're very long.
Yeah.
So, like, that's really where all of that's gonna be. Mm-hmm. And the thing with historical dramas is that they tend to be longer. So, like, if you're not in it, I drop them immediately. I don't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I have too many shows that I want to watch that I'm not gonna sit here and watch shows that I don't.
That I'm not enjoying. Anyway.
I give every show, like, 3 to 5 episodes. If you don't have me then, I'm done.
Right.
I have dropped web shows that are 7 episodes long at episode 4 because I'm like, I'm done. It's only an hour left. I'm like, I don't care. I'm not finishing it.
We're done.
That's an hour of my time that I could be spent doing something else. I'm done.
Yeah.
All right. So that was my show. I really enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm. So my next one is, the next 2 of mine are also kind of connected together, except the fact that they're 2 completely separate shows. So I randomly, one, like, Wednesday night, somehow decided that I needed to rewatch like all of Save Me, like in one night.
That also goes together with me, who right after Kayla was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna watch Save Me, was like, oh yeah, I've never seen that show. I thought it would be... I had preconceived notions of that show. I mean, I love Taecyeon. Yes, great. We do keep repeating the fact that we love 2PM.
Love Taecyeon.
Love Taecyeon. Taecyeon is amazing. Taecyeon is a sweet boy. But I had preconceived notions about a cult show in Korea. Like, I didn't think it would be anything that interesting. And Kayla was like, no, it's amazing. So I decided to also watch Save Me.
Yes. So I like speed rewatched Save Me because the time that I decided to watch Save Me, it was like 10:30 p.m. and I had to go to work the next morning. And
and you decided that like, Save Me needed to be watched in one night.
It needed to be watched right then. So I did like a speed rewatch in like 3.5 hours of all of Save Me. And I was like, this show is so good. Like, I remember liking it, but I was like, oh, it's so good.
Mind you, I also ended up watching Save Me in 2 days because I couldn't stop.
Yeah.
Like, I could not. I was just like, no, this is amazing. Like, oh my god, it's so good.
It's so good.
So, for people that don't know, Save Me is about a cult, a religious cult, that so Taecyeon and his group of friends are trying to save this girl who is essentially being held hostage by a religious cult.
Yeah.
Of psychopaths.
Also, the female lead of the girl in the cults is So Yeji from It's Okay to Not Be Okay. This is not the first drama I saw her. Never mind, that's a lie. But she's really good in this drama.
Yeah, she's very good. Taecyeon's very, very good. The entirety, I mean, and then I've also seen the second male lead.
Woo Do-hwan is very good. I like him a lot.
Yeah, he was in The King Eternal Monarch, which is the last thing I saw him in, which was a bad show.
Oh, that's not a great show.
That's not a good show. But he's a good actor, too. So, like, this is a great cast of people.
The cast is great.
The cast is incredible. Like, the entire show is so well done.
They do such a good job with the cult, too, I think.
They're just the right amount of crazy. Because I feel like with cults... And both of us are big true crime fans.
Especially like South Korean cults, because like they do have
an actual thing that there's
they have a cult problem in South Korea.
There is, but I think that it's the perfect mix of like believable enough where it's like this is not like fucking like brainwashing and like because I feel like you can take cults in like a cartoon direction where it's like they're so crazy. This is subtle. Like, the cult, and it's not a new cult. It's not like they kidnapped this girl off the street.
No, like, the first couple of the first, like, 3 or 4 episodes where they show the lead up as to, like, how she ends up in that situation, and that's, like, almost my favorite part of the show. Yeah, like, it's so good.
And, like, a lot of the reasons that people are in this cult, like, they give everyone a reason to do what they're doing, and it fits perfectly, and it shows you almost a very realistic way of how people get involved with cults. That these are not just... I mean, in certain situations, like, everyone thinks that they would never do it. Like, no, I'm too smart. I would never be in a cult. And then now you're in a cult. You know?
Now you're in a cult.
You just are in a cult.
Surprise, you're in a cult.
Surprise! But, like, and then the cult is, like, realistic. Like, it's not an outlandish cult. It's like very realistic. The tactics used we're both true crime fans. We both have seen a bunch of documentaries about actual cults and a bunch of the ways that they're keeping people there are
like that's how real cults operate. Yeah,
it's how cults operate.
Yeah,
and it was so good. And then how they get her out, the plans, the fact that they fail, and the fact that they're all kind of stupid.
Yeah, they fail a lot along the way, like so much.
Yeah, and like the fact that everything is just like subtle introduction, like, and then it just culminates in craziness.
Because there's never a slow point in the show. It literally like the tension is like high and the stakes are high literally from the beginning all the way through the end. Like it's so
get
good.
A moment of rest.
No, not at all.
That's the best, and like that it's a show that works well in high tension. Like I feel like you're constantly moving. Like there's never a dull moment there. You're constantly moving toward your goal. I loved it.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, like, I love the way it ends. So, do we want to spoil how it ends?
Yeah, let's put up spoilers to Save Me right now.
I love the way it ends because, in the end, they kill the cult leader. They kill the. Look at the poster,
he gets hit by a burning cross, which is very, which is fitting,
very cathartic. Mm-hmm. Love it. He gets burned to death in a cross. The guy called curly-haired fuck.
Oh, he sucks, guy.
He goes to
he's like the
second,
he's second in command of the cult, essentially.
And he is the only, I think he's the only non-believer that's in it for the money.
Yeah.
Because everyone else...
Because he does try to run away with the money, yeah. So...
I will say, that is the thing I genuinely love about it, is that the people in command... Because I genuinely believe that white-haired leader of the cult probably started this as a grift.
And now he's a cult leader. And
now he believes.
Yeah, and now he's on,
like, the end of it, he's full in on it.
He's on, like, a weird power trip, yeah.
He probably started this as a con, probably with curly-haired fuck. Like, they started this as a con, a way to get money, and then he diluted himself into thinking he's an actual cult leader.
Yeah.
And I love the way it ends, because he dies, which is how cult leaders end, but his second in command woman, who is a genuine believer,
yeah,
continues the cult.
Mm-hmm.
And the followers, guess what? Your cult leader dies, you're still in it. The followers are in.
They're still there. Yeah.
They still believe.
Mm-hmm.
Her father... who is the main girl's father, who's the most into the cult.
He's still there.
Like a raving street preacher that you ignore on, like,
yeah.
If you live in any major city, you know the crazy raving street preacher that's yelling that you're gonna go to hell.
Yeah.
He becomes one of those people, and he genuinely still believes. And I think that is the most realistic ending that this show could have. Like, you don't tie things up in a bow.
So good.
Yeah,
I think it's great.
Yeah, people don't just... It's not brainwashing where you just snap out of it like you were hypnotized. Like, if you believe that, you still do. And I love that. Mm-hmm. You don't bring people back to reality. You just sort of have to get yourself and your love... Like, the main girl and her mom leave.
Yeah.
And they are able to, like, live freely, but, like... They lost their dad.
Yeah.
The dad is still full in.
He's still there, and like there is really no saving him from that now.
There isn't.
So
and that's sometimes just what happens in cults.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can... And I love that ending so much.
Mm-hmm. So that reminds me, so I then, after speed watching Save Me and then remembering how good that show was, I watched Save Me 2, which
I did not watch yet.
Save Me 2 is a completely unrelated story, but it also centers around, like, a similar cult-like thing. But it's just a completely separate story, and I think they just decided to brand it under Save Me because the first show did well. It is significantly less interesting than Save Me 1, I will say. And I think it's because, so in Save Me 2, it's not really a cult. It's really being run by a con man, and you are aware that he is a con man, and so I think that's way, way less interesting than it being an actual cult, is if I know that this is a con man here to just, like, get money out of people, and that's the end goal. And it also moves at turtle speed, like... Nothing it's like we're moving at such a slow pace up until like episode 13, and it's like boom, everything happens, and then you have like high stakes for 3 episodes, and then the show's over. But it is such a slow moving show in comparison to Save Me
with that
original.
The shows are short. Save Me is only 16 episodes. Is Save Me 2 the same length?
16, yeah.
Yeah, it's only 16 episodes. It should not be that difficult to make 16 episodes entertaining about a cult.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's just a con man cult, like, you should be able... Also, to spoil the ending, in that I haven't seen it, but it also just seems like the problems kind of solve themselves.
So the ending of Save Me 2, also, we're just gonna put up spoilers for Save Me 2 now. So, this man, who is clearly just a con man, he brainwashes a lot of people in the process of the conning, and one of them still just ends up believing it. It's essentially because he had a wife who was dying of like stage 4 cancer. And the way that he was trying to sort of put on it was a miracle was getting her addicted to meth. Was what happened. Of course. So she ends up dying, but he is still like fully brainwashed into this like weird religion thing, that praying to God thing that he has had him believing now. So he, at the end of the show, literally ends up like living in a cave somewhere and lighting all these candles and like praying every day of his life. And it's like a very sad existence, but he's still brainwashed by something that wasn't even like really anything to begin with. I will say the most interesting part of the show is that he, the con man picks up this like priest. I think he's just a preacher. I don't think he's like an actual priest. But he is not indoctrinated into like the big con that's happening with this like town. And he somehow brainwashes this guy enough into like being a part of this weird con thing that he's running, because he gets found out. But then it also gets revealed that he picked this man for a reason, because he's got a lot of secrets to hide and is like able to use that against him to keep him in on the con, that he can like perform all these miracles and everything. And so that's like, I think the most interesting plot line of that story is like the fake miracle preacher and also the con man. But a lot of it is it just moves at such a slow pace, because it takes a long time for the quote unquote main resistance character to even get into this town to begin with, because he gets released from prison, spends a lot of time wandering around in the city before he even gets back to his hometown. And then he spends like just so much time just doing nothing and getting absolutely nothing useful accomplished, that it's like we're doing that for like 10 whole episodes of like, we've done nothing to progress the plot here at all. And so it is, I think, a lot less good, because I think one of the best parts of Save Me 1 is that it is so like high stakes, high tension all the way through, where Save Me 2 has like a lot of that in the last 3 episodes, but it just takes so much longer to get there. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend it.
Save Me 2.
Yeah. Save Me 1 is a fantastic show. Save Me 2
now one of my favorite shows.
If you're real into like cults, like I would recommend it, because it is very interesting show. It just like, is not a top tier show for me.
Yeah, no. The thing with Save Me is that like you have to. It's for a very particular subset of drama, because I feel like a lot of people that are into dramas are only in it for the romance. Don't watch Save Me. Don't do it. No. That's not what you're gonna get.
No, we're not here for the romance. Like,
we're not. We're here for finding people in cellars.
Yes.
You know, that kind of shit.
And like killing children. Like that's what happens in these shows.
And like killing actual children.
Yeah.
So, on a similar note, for another show you've seen, I watched The Guardians.
Yes.
Also known as the Prosecutor.
When I watched it originally, when because I watched it the year it aired, it was called Lookout. So it's got like many different names.
It's gone through many names. I think now most places call it The Guardian.
Yeah.
So that show is very good. I really enjoyed it. So essentially, it's about this woman was a cop. Her daughter died, and then she sort of is now. She's, like, attempting to, like, she knows who killed her daughter, and is attempting to, like, try to murder him, and now is on the run, and is also, like, I guess...
It's like a vigilante justice.
Vigilante justice. Her and Key from SHINee and this other girl. Mm-hmm. They're just doing vigilante justice on people that the cops can't catch because they have connections and are rich people.
Yes.
And that show was very good. Spoilers, you learned this in the first episode, so it's not a spoiler. I love that the main villain is a high schooler.
That was a weird plot element of that show, was that the main villain's a high schooler.
Yeah, I love that the main villain is a high schooler who murdered a 6-year-old.
Yeah, that's really weird.
That's just how this show. That's like the first episode of the show.
That's just what goes on in the show.
To murder a 6-year-old, and that is the inciting incident. So like the entire time, you're just like waiting for them to catch this high schooler. Mm-hmm. I love that takes so long.
It takes us like 16 episodes to do that. It takes
the entire time.
Yeah.
But I think overall the plot is very interesting. It's different. Yeah. I like the vigilante aspect.
I like the main characters a lot. I liked them a lot. They were very fun.
Key and the other girl.
The girl who like locks herself in her apartment. Yeah, I like them a lot.
She slowly comes out, and her and Key have this very cute relationship.
Yeah, they're very cute.
They're very bickery.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, both of them are just sort of backup for the main lead, who is doing all of the work, essentially.
Yes, literally all of
it. They're just there to be moral support a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. They're like not doing a lot of anything.
No, they're just, helping on computers. I don't know why you need two people to do that, but that's neither here nor there.
Mm-hmm.
But generally, I thought that this show was very good.
It's good.
I recommend it.
I enjoyed it.
It does look like it was made in 2017. It does not have...
yes. Yep.
But it's very good.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of love them slowly getting to... I like the fact that it wasn't just catch a villain, catch, vigilante. And like the last episode, they get the high schooler. I like that it built.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'll give it. It did build to catching the high schooler slowly.
So the other two shows that I have are also ones that you have seen. So
yes. The other shows I have. Yeah.
So I have first The Uncanny Counter, which
we
is I
both
think
watched
one of the only
year.
2021 shows on the list that I've finished. I enjoyed this immensely.
Oh, it was so fun.
It was so great. It was. I also like put off watching the show for a really long time too because I thought I was gonna hate it. And then I watched the first 2 episodes and I'm like, okay, this is like great. I'm like all in on this concept and everything. It's very good.
Yeah, I think that this show, I waited until it was finished just because I knew that this is a show that I would want to just finish, and binge in a way. But the show is very sweet. The show is honestly more like heartwarming than I expected.
It's very, very heartwarming.
Because it kind of seems like it's just going to be like this ragtag group of people that kind of hate each other.
Yeah.
It's not. They get along.
Oh, they're
quickly.
Essentially like a family. The
from
people
like
running
episode,
the noodle shop. Yeah.
Yeah. Like from like episode 2, like, yeah, there's different personalities. Yeah. Like there's a little bit of like tension sometimes, especially with like Sejong's character and, what is his name?
What's his name?
The new...
It's the other twin from Sky Castle that's not an extracurricular.
It's better twin from Sky Castle.
Yeah. His name is Jo Byung-gyu, something like that.
Yeah. So like
him.
Yeah, he's great. But and like that's fine. I loved the relationships they have because I
love that older woman. She is just like
she's amazing.
So sweet. I love her so much.
She's the mom/grandma we all deserve. I love her relationship with her, because essentially, so what this show's about is that these are people who were in comas.
Yeah.
And to be out of the coma, they have been possessed by a spirit, and now
they exorcise demons, essentially.
But they exorcise demons, and they have a spirit within them that...
It gives them their power. It gives them the ability to do that.
Gives them the ability to exorcise the demons. Yeah. And I love that hers is her son.
I know.
It's the sweetest relationship.
Oh, it was so cute.
And
it's so cute.
There's so many heartwarming scenes of like everyone has a person that they're doing it for, or a reason that they're doing what they're doing. And
yes.
It's heartwarming and heartbreaking, and I was just like emotional a lot in this show.
The main character makes me like so emotional. Everything just surrounding him. I love how they tie his storyline into the storyline of that older guy who was like a police officer. Like I love that.
I love that much. Everything gets interconnected, and I love Sejong with the little girls.
I know.
That was so cute. I love there's a couple scenes that genuinely made me emotional. One of them is just the relationship of the main character with his grandparents. That always makes me emotional. I loved it.
I was like straight up bawling in the last episode
crying.
When he was seeing they killed the evil spirits, and then he saw his parents, and then his parents realized that that's their son.
Grandparents? Oh,
yeah,
God,
oh my God, I was crying so much.
I was bawling.
Oh my God.
The other scene that somehow got me crying a little bit was the scene with the older woman and her son's fiance.
Oh.
That relationship, crying.
Oh my God.
We were going to do a full episode on this show, but I think we're just doing it now.
Yeah, we're doing it right now. There's a lot of parts of the show where I was just, like, crying. Because it was, like, a lot of that.
Because this is just how you do a show that, like, it's sad. But, like, these are people that have very sad lives, but are just living as best they can. And it's so upsetting.
Oh, it's so sad. I also cried at the end where their other counter who gets killed right at the beginning, and then that spirit goes and possesses the main character. When they are allowed at the end to, like, have lunch with him again in, like, the spirit world, like, that was just so good. I was like, oh.
Oh my God. I loved it so much. And it's just, it's realistic in the way that, like, they live with guilt. They live with, like, the ghosts of their past. And I think that a lot of characters, especially in a lot of dramas, they revel in that. I started watching, what's it called? I started watching Just Between Lovers. And I couldn't finish it because I was bored out of my mind. And also, it was people just dwelling on, like, it was just, like, yeah, the trauma happened to you, but, like, they chose to let it, like, be the only characteristic that they gave those characters. These are people that have had trauma in their lives, but have character traits. Like, they're fully realized characters who also happen to have things happen in their past. They have interests, they have things that they like. They're real. They're feel like a character, not so much like a one thing.
And I think, like, all of the side characters I was also, like, strangely very invested in. Like, I love the evolution that kid who's a bully goes through over the course.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he has such a great arc in that show. And he's, like, barely a main character, but I love everything that's happening with him. I like his 2 friends,
too, who, like, they know something's going on, but they're like, you know what? You do you.
Oh, his 2 best friends are great. Like, they're
his 2 best
amazing.
Friends are very fun.
Yeah.
So this show was just amazing. I am excited for season 2, genuinely. Because it
was really, really good.
Yeah, I don't know where they take season 2, but I'm very excited to see it.
Oh, yeah.
So that was the Uncanny Counter. I'm going to talk about... What do I want to do now? I'm going to talk about a bad show now that we had a run of good shows. I'm going to talk about the bad cheerleading show I watched.
Let's bring in a bad show, yeah.
The bad cheerleading show I watched. So this show, you know how I said, like, a 4 is shit, but I finished it? This show's a 4. It's a Thai show, and I cannot say the name. It's called Lung Kyung. Sure. It's 8 episodes. I don't know why I decided to watch the show, in that I had to illegally stream it, and I also watched it in 20p with massive subtitles that I'm not even sure were correct. It's bad. But it had voodoo in it. It's about cheerleading voodoo. Wait, no. Cheerleaders who do voodoo. One cheerleader specifically. So, it's about this cheerleading team who, yeah, you were there when I watched the show and just was like, I need this to be over, please. So it's about this cheerleading team who they have this member that they actively really dislike, but don't particularly give a reason why they don't like her. They think she's weird. And they think... They try to terrorize her until she, like, decides to leave the team. To the point where they, like, beat her half to death and leave her to be assaulted. Because that's just what you do in high school, apparently. And then, I'm not entirely 100% sure, but there's voodoo. She comes back to life and now is exacting her revenge and killing all of them. All of that sounds way more interesting than it is, because it's not good. It gets confusing because it's like I feel like 5 people can do voodoo at the same time. Or like weird magic. I think it's voodoo. If it's not, I'm not trying to insult anybody. It's weird magic. I think they use the term voodoo in the show, but also I'm not entirely sure how accurate these subtitles were.
Wonderful.
But it was odd. It was weird. A lot happened. They murdered a girl in a washing machine, which was something I'd never seen, and I like horror movies.
That's a way to murder somebody.
that's a way to murder somebody. I mean, the only time, I mean, that was in My Bloody Valentine, but like, you know, hey, more washing machine murders. That's fun. And it also had like a weird plot twist where like at the same time that it was a very simple revenge with this one girl doing voodoo to kill him, it was also this, let's find out about her past and her sister and her orphanage, and like, I'm like, what's happening? This is 8 episodes. We don't need all of this. Have her kill the cheerleading team and we move on. But no. And then the show ends and I'm confused. And then more people do voodoo. And also, like, in the end, like, there's a weird plot, there's so many weird plot twists that don't make sense. I don't even know how to describe this show, Kayla. I was so confused. And I think you understood that I was confused.
I mean, it just sounds very confusing.
You were there with me while I was watching it.
It sounds like a lot.
And I was just, like, panicking and confused. Yeah. It's like, what's happening? I don't know what's happening. It's not like good.
No.
Most people, mainly because if you've seen Until We Meet Again, most people watched it for the 2 side characters are also in this. Yes, they kiss. It does not matter. They're in it for 2 episodes. They're 2 of the first people that get killed.
Wonderful.
Don't watch it. It's not worth it.
Great.
I did watch it in like 3 hours because at some point I was just like, I can't. I need to know. I need to stop. This is bad.
Oh yeah.
This is bad, and I did not like it. Like it in a way, I feel like if it was longer, maybe it would be better because you'd be able to explain things. But I also did not want to sit through it for more. So, like, just maybe this is the best. Do you have your last show?
Yeah, so I have Crash Landing on You. I finally got around to watching. And I don't have, like, a whole lot of thoughts on it other than it's just a worse version of Descendants of the Sun, really.
That's kind of how I felt about it.
Kind of what it is, yeah.
I mean, I remember when you were like, I want to watch that show, and I'm like, it's a good show. It looks gorgeous. It's beautiful. But I was like, you're not going to have that many opinions on the story.
I really kind of like the side characters more than I do.
I love her ex-boyfriend.
Her ex-boyfriend is great.
Her ex-boyfriend is the best. And the ex-boyfriend that, like, ran away to North Korea.
To North Korea,
love him.
Love him. The male lead is so...
boring.
Just a nothing person. He might as well be a cardboard cutout. Like, he's got absolutely nothing going on the entire time. Like... just the whole way through, like nothing. I do like his little group of, like, I don't know, lieutenants or whatever, North Korean soldiers that he just has, like, at his house all the time. I love them. They're great. I love in particular the one that just watches kdramas illegally.
Because he is me. He is us, Kayla. He is us. That's why we feel a connection.
Also, it was very funny because I watched Crash Landing on You pretty soon after I watched Save Me 2, and the, like, psycho miracle preacher in Save Me 2 is the wiretapper in Crash Landing on You, and that was a fun, different role to see him in immediately.
Yeah. Very different.
But I did enjoy a lot of the scenes where they're just in South Korea a lot, because that was just a really fun time.
I think that the show did decently well at knowing that you cannot place an entire show in North Korea because that one village is the size of a city block. Yeah. And, like, that's very much not big enough for this. Like, it's not like she can go anywhere. She's stuck in North Korea. So that's what I will give that show. Is it kind of knows how to... that you need location changes.
Oh, yeah. I will say, I as much as I did love, like, the ex-boyfriend, I did not love second female lead. I found her just, like, infuriating most of the time. Yeah, like, she was just, like, so stupid. Like, I did not enjoy her at all.
She was annoying. I didn't like her.
I was like, this like... her ex-boyfriend who, like, fled to North Korea to escape, like, gambling debt or some type of weird debt that he owes people. Somehow I like him a lot, though, so.
Yeah, it was a lot of that show is a choice. Let's put it that way. A choice.
It's definitely a choice. It was, like, it's a good show. Like, it is objectively a good show, but it's just that I have a much better show that is very similar to it to directly compare it to.
Oh, yeah. So. No, I would never say it's anywhere near as good as Sense of the Sun.
Yeah.
Like, objectively, it is very much a good show. But in terms of the actual show, it's not great.
Uh-huh.
In terms of how I felt about it, it was fine.
It was fine, yeah.
So now we go on to the second Eunwoo drama I watched this year. I got around to watching True Beauty, which is technically a 2021 show. Most of it came out this year.
It is, yes.
And I feel like I don't need to describe what True Beauty is about, because it's the probably most talked about. I mean, that and The Penthouse are probably the two most talked about shows of this year. Mm-hmm. Very different shows.
Very different shows.
Like, so the True Beauty is about this girl who is quote-unquote ugly, even though all she needs is some fucking Proactive. Just saying. All she has is acne. Like, it's not that bad.
She's ugly. Like, she's ugly because she has acne and, like, needs to take off her glasses. Like, that's like the
not
level
even
of,
her
like,
glasses. I think it's just her skin.
It's so dumb.
So she changes schools and goes back to her hometown. She meets up with Eunwoo. She is pretty because she knows how to do makeup, and now she's in a love triangle with Eunwoo and a bad boy. Mm-hmm. That's the show. And honestly, this show sounds awful. I thought I was going to hate it. Horrible. But it's very good. It's so good because this show is very, and this is a trend that I love in current, especially these very stereotypical shows that are like girl with two male leads in a high school. Very self-aware. It knows that it's a stereotype. It knows that it's ridiculously stupid, and it plays into that. I am shocked how funny Eunwoo is a lot of times in his shows, because he is very funny. There are moments on this show where I'm laughing at him because he knows how to do that, like, weird, quirky comedy pretty well. Yeah. And honestly, this show was actually very funny.
I also, when Sammy was watching this, decided I was gonna go read the original webcomic that it's based off of, and so
because you also thought that was gonna be shit too.
I also thought that was gonna be shit, but I also really enjoyed reading the webcomic, and I've read it up to essentially the point where the K-drama ends, which is where Eunwoo goes off to Japan, and it obviously deviates the K-drama a little bit from the webcomic because the webcomic is still ongoing, and they needed to like wrap up the K-drama in one season, but that's essentially the point in the webcomic where it ends, and I fully enjoyed reading it. It was very fun. It was way more fun than I was expecting it to be. So,
and I also like that show is also self-aware. Like, the webcomic itself, the self-awareness did not just come from what you were telling me about the webcomic. Yeah. The self-awareness did not just come out of midair. Like, no,
it's pretty self-aware.
Webcomic is also self-aware.
Yeah. Can we also just talk about like Dead Channy for a hot second?
Oh yeah, Dead Channy.
Yeah.
In the first episode, spoilers, but not spoilers, because it's the first fucking episode of the show. I don't think that's a spoiler. The girl is driven almost to jumping off a building. And I was watching this with Kayla on a Discord call, and all I hear, and all Kayla hears from me is that, like, this girl just decided not to jump off a building after seeing a billboard in remembrance of Dead Channy. Yeah. And your thing was Dead Channy, and I'm like, yeah, Channy, I think, is their dead friend.
Because we had originally looked up the synopsis for True Beauty. It was like, oh, they are no longer Eunwoo and the other male leaders, like, oh, they're no longer friends because of some tragic event in the past. And I'm like, because I wasn't gonna watch the show, I was like, what is this tragic event in the past? And it ended up being way more convoluted than I was ever expecting it to be, about like the K-pop idol industry and like survival shows and evil editing and like bullying, and it was like, wow,
that's a lot.
It was a lot.
It was also a lot in the show, but like
I also thought Channy
like was a weird remembrance to Channy. There's a bunch of remembrances to Dead Channy, and I just started calling him Dead Channy
because he's dead.
Because he's dead, and it's Channy.
I also had no idea that this was the character Channy was playing in True Beauty, because I knew he cameoed, but I didn't know his cameo meant he was like a very important plot point to the story. and that he was gonna be playing their dead friend.
In a way, I think he's more because he's in multiple episodes of that show and a focal point that they keep talking about. I don't think he's I guess for screen time, he's in
like
probably
7 or something episodes total, just by like his like actual like appearances there. Like,
yeah, I genuinely think he probably could be called a support role over a cameo,
because they categorize him as a cameo. Yeah,
I think he could be called a support role, but I guess I don't know. I don't make the rules, but he's a very important character.
What I find very funny, the webtoon character looks exactly like Channy. And I'm like, I 100% get why they casted him, because this character is Channy. Like, it literally looks exactly like him. Secondly, I also think it's very funny because I looked up a clip of, like, him in the webcomic where they go to his, like, memorial or something, and they just have his concept photos from SF9 on the memorial.
Look, he's in a suit. Close enough.
One of them is his Mamma Mia concept picture, which I find really funny.
I can't sometimes.
And I'm like, there's just like a page teared out of SF9's album right there.
Very much what this show would do, and it's very funny. Like, there's this one dream sequence where Eunwoo is like it's my favorite scene of this show, and I think I sent you a clip of it because I was just laughed my ass off.
Oh my god, it was ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. So Eunwoo is jealous, and he's like, it's a dream sequence, obviously, where like the main girl is just like, stop being jealous. They're on a track field, and then the second male just appears with like a motorcycle. He's like, I'm not boring. Do you want to go for a ride? And she leaves with him. Eunwoo falls to his knees and screams, no. Stop. It's my favorite scene. It's ridiculous. It
also has the other scene that I love, and I haven't even seen the show, is when the two male leads together concurrently get hit by a car.
Oh yeah, I forgot that that's a thing that happened. Yes, they get hit by the same. It's not even that they both get hit by like a bus. No, they get hit by like essentially just a car, a regular like a regular car, Honda Civic like style, like just a car. And, like, both of them at the same time are hit by the same car, and it's amazing. It's ridiculous, but amazing.
And it's like Eunwoo gets thrown, like 4 feet in the air, and is, like, looks like he's being, like, exorcised, like a demon's being exorcised out of him.
It's looked like Eunwoo was chosen for the fucking rapture. Like, he's just
and I'm like, this is not how you get hit by a car. And also love that they linger on the fact that they're like standing there holding each other right as they get hit by the car. Like,
oh yeah, it's amazing. It's
so funny.
It's amazing. I love it. Everything about it's amazing. I love the fact that just like in a way, this show is so ridiculous that it knows that you can't play that straight. Like, it knows when to be serious and to do certain things, but
that's what I appreciate about it, I think.
But it also knows that it's so ridiculous at times that you gotta, like, laugh at it. And that's true.
Yeah. The webcomic is very much written that way, too, so
yeah,
I enjoy it a lot.
And, like, I'm very happy that Eunwoo, because Eunwoo seems like the kind of actor that can be very like, there's a lot of actors, and especially idol actors, that take everything very seriously, and that their comedy falls extremely flat.
Yeah.
Eunwoo,
great at it.
Top tier comedy at times. Love it.
Doing a great job.
I love Eunwoo. A lot of people will say that this is very similar to My ID's Gangnam Beauty,
which is true. Another Eunwoo show.
Which is another Eunwoo show that's the same thing. My ID's Gangnam Beauty I've seen both of them. Like both of them. I like True Beauty more because there's a more comedic side to it, and it's very funny, and that it does. Both of them have a very similar mindset of, don't do makeup or plastic surgery for others. Do it because it makes you feel good about yourself, which is a very good message. My ID's Gangnam Beauty is a more serious show. It takes a look at that differently. It's not bad. It's just slower, more centered around that. True Beauty is funny. True Beauty is ridiculous, fun, absolute great time. Both of them are good. They're just good for different reasons. I wouldn't say I like True Beauty more, but I wouldn't say that like it's ridiculously bad. Like, one is ridiculously better than the other one. So, you haven't seen anything else. So, I have 3 more shows here that I just want to really quickly run through. Yeah. One, I decided to rewatch all of Ashes of Love, which is 63 episodes. So that was the choice I made. I mean, it's a rewatch. Ashes of Love is the first Chinese costume drama I'd ever seen. And it is very good, but I had no idea what it kind of, like, a lot of times I will just, and it's a bad habit of mine, will throw myself into things without doing any research that I probably need to understand what's going on. So I enjoyed Ashes of Love, but knew I could probably get more of it now that I actually understand what a costume drama is and what happens in them and what am I watching? So I went back and rewatched it. So good. So good. One of my favorite costume dramas. All the storyline goes in like a very, very fun direction. The thing with a show with 63 episodes, I can't describe much of the plot because where we start and where we end is a completely different thing. But it takes place in like more of a spiritual god realm. None of them are human. And so it's about a flower deity falling in love with a fire deity, which is fun. It's cute. There's demons, there's different things. Second male lead is... And the thing with that is that you get a lot of character motivation, you get a lot of storylines, you get a lot of betrayal, you get a lot of palace intrigue. It's a lot of that. Everyone has motivation. Everyone is got complex... Because they're gods, so they have thousands of years. Everyone has a long history with everybody else that you have to, like, piece together. And put all the pieces together and figure out, like, who betrayed who. And it's just really fun to watch. I love the second male lead. All 3 of the main actors are extremely popular. Part of the reason is because of this show. So it's highly recommend if you're into Chinese dramas. Probably maybe not as your first thing. But I don't think I need to recommend Ashes of Love. I think that if anybody was going to watch that show, they would have already seen it. It does not need a recommendation from me. Mind you, I just realized that this 63 episode show, Kayla, do you want to know how long it aired for?
Oh, God.
It aired from August 2nd to September 4th. It aired 63 episodes in a month and 2 days.
Oh, my God.
I just realized that.
That's so much.
That's so much. So, I also, today, so that'll date when we recorded this video if anybody wants to look at that, if anyone's genuinely curious. Today, A Tale of a Thousand Stars, the Thai drama ended, and I watched that and cried. No, I teared up, I didn't actually cry. But that show is very sweet. So it's about this guy, he got a heart transplant, and then he basically discovers who he got the heart from, and then goes back to where she used to teach to basically, you know, find out more about himself, and, like, you know, figure out, who he is and all that other fun stuff. And also, he falls in love. Obviously, he does.
Of course.
Of course. And it is the sweetest little thing I've ever seen. This show is so good at, like... I mean, the chemistry is amazing. The chemistry is very cute. This show is also really good at... And this is something I like in a lot of shows, is that it's good at the little moments. Where, like, there's no big declaration of love. There's no, like, super intense anything. It's just, like, little moments of, like, longing glances, cute little things that they do for each other. It's just a very sweet little show, and I really liked it. I will say, he's probably not qualified to be these kids' teacher, but he did his best, and I was very happy for him.
Yeah.
Rich boy went out... Also, please, if you have a heart transplant, do not go live in the jungle.
Oh, this is that? Yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah, he went to go live in the jungle to teach kids, and that's a very noble thing, but also you're 6 months out of a heart transplant. Please don't do that.
Probably don't.
Like, please be careful.
For your own health and safety, don't do that.
For your own health and safety, they shouldn't have allowed him to do this, but he was already there, so it's fine, I guess. It's chill. But generally, I love this show. It was so cute. I mean, I'm a sucker for an Earth drama anyway. He's great. Highly recommend that show. you'll see a lot of these shows when I eventually do this top 50 dramas. I might be changing it to 40, Kayla. There's a lot of shows.
Oh, yeah.
And also, the last show I want to talk about is another sequel that's not as good as the original. I watched Go-Go Squid 2, DT Apple Dog's Time, which is another one in my list of watching Tall Man from Tears of Ferris Wheel dramas, in that he is the main character of this show, too. Because he was also in Go-Go Squid. And this is about him falling in love with the Apple Dog from the original Go-Go Squid, if anyone's seen that. And here's the problem. They change everything about this show. They change the sport they play. The main lead is different. I think there's only like 3 people that return from the original show. Like, you get the 2 main leads from Go-Go Squid, but that's because they're there as cameos. Almost everyone is recast, and I genuinely don't know who anyone is. That's the problem. It's like, I could not figure out, because they don't really say people's names. So, like, I'm just trying to figure out which one are you? Who are you from the other show? But also, it doesn't actually, like, I have no context clues, because I can't even be like, oh, what do they play? What are they doing?
Because the game is different.
Changes.
Yeah.
Because instead of playing a video game, they're now fighting robots in essentially a robot war situation.
I really want to know the logic that went into, like, making a season 2, but also just changing, like, the main aspects of the show.
This show could literally be entirely disconnected from that show, and be the same show, and no one would say it's a ripoff. Let's put it that way. Like, it is what it is. Like, it did not need to be this. Also, the other problem with this show is that it didn't really have a plot. There's not really a villain. Everyone kind of plays nice because they all know each other. So it's not even like, oh, he plays for one team, she coaches another team, or plays for another team. That doesn't really become an issue. They just kind of, like, fall in love, get together, break up because they both get busy with work, but then that doesn't last for very long. Like, it's very, like, it's the continued thing of, it's like, get together, misunderstanding, be sad, make up, sad. Be happy, then start the process all over again of be happy, get together, be misunderstanding, be sad, kind of break up, get back together, rekindle the relationship, and then repeat it.
Just like
over and over and over again. We're in a cycle of this. Yeah. It's like there's no real villain, no real stakes, no real issues. You don't really have to grow.
The real problems are just within yourself.
Not even just, there's not really problems within yourself either. It just is what it is. And also, there are shows where nothing really happens that are just people, like, falling in love slowly. Yeah. But this one is the problem that I wasn't really invested. I didn't care. And I also didn't know who half the people were. Because they expected me to know.
Like, yeah, but also you can't expect people to know when your show is a different show now.
Exactly. So I was confused. So that's the unfortunate part with that show.
Sad.
But that was our mini drama roundup.
Yeah.
And what are you currently watching?
Well, I have 2 shows that I am currently watching. One show, and then one show that I have tried, I think, about 6 times to watch and can't. So, the first one is Neverella, which is another Netflix K-drama. It is about a 20-something-year-old ballet dancer and, like, a 70-year-old man who, like, desperately wants to learn ballet. And sort of how that, like, whole thing starts is, like, the kid's coach essentially tells the, like, old man, because the old man will come to, like, their practice studio and, like, watch them a lot, says that, I'll have him teach you ballet if you be his manager. And it ends up just, like, because there's only 4 episodes of it out, but they just have, like, such an adorable relationship, and the old man is, like, the most adorable old man I've ever seen before. Like, I would die for him. Like, I love him so much. And he just becomes, like a father figure to him, and then the younger kid really doesn't want to teach him at first, but then grows to, like, really have, like, a really nice, cute relationship with him. So I absolutely love that show. It's so cute. It's not a show that I would typically really like, but I am enjoying it immensely thus far, so it's very fun. And then the other one is Vincenzo, which is also another one of these Netflix shows. And this is probably the worst show that I have attempted to watch in like years. It was very funny to hear you watch so that show. Bad. I like don't. So I think I figured out what my big problem with it is. I don't appreciate being lied to in the trailer of a K-drama.
You did not appreciate.
I don't appreciate being lied trailers. To. Yeah. So what happens is that, and also, it's not only the trailer, but it's also the description and then the general, like, just everything leading up to like the advertisement of the show. Because it's essentially, so it's a Song Joong-ki show. He's playing.
Which you already have expectations when you have a Song Joong-ki show.
Because he's great.
We love him.
He's playing an Italian mafia lawyer.
Which again, that's a choice.
Yeah, who is fleeing from Italy, from the mafia, going back to South Korea, and then attempting to take down like an evil pharmaceutical company is essentially what it's all been billed as. And the thing that I think I disliked about it the most is, like, you know, they had billed it essentially as, like, a very intense, like, dramatic, like, legal drama. Like, it was supposed to be, like, a melodrama. And this show is, like, 80% a comedy. And the vibe is just so bizarre. And I can't understand what's happening. It makes no sense at all. They introduce so many side characters that aren't important to like anything, and also the like girl who's the female lead and her dad have like a very, very bizarre thing going on there, where this isn't really a spoiler because it happens in the first episode. It's because she has a really strained relationship with her father because she is working as a lawyer for the big pharmaceutical company, and he absolutely despises her for that because she thinks she's lost like all of her morals in life. And he is also a lawyer, but he works with like the more lower class like people who like really need help. And so they throw in this like throwaway line of the father's like, I'm going to disown you. And that seems like it should be like a very
joke
dramatic. It seems like it should be dramatic and like if like because he's like serious about it. And it seems like that should be like an actual like relationship problem they're having, and it's treated completely as a joke. And I'm like, I don't know what you want me to think about any of these characters because half of what you're showing me is like just a complete comedy, and I like can't like focus on the storyline because everything that's happening around it is just so ridiculous, and I can't tell if you're trying to be serious or not. Like, it's an absolute disaster of a show. I got 1.5 episodes in, and I've tried to pick it up again because I'm like, I kind of want to watch it because it's such a hot mess, and I like literally can't because it's just so bad. Like, yeah, everything about it's a disaster. Yeah. I don't understand who the show is for either, because the vibe of the show is so off. Because it is a weird, like 70% a comedy and like 30% a drama, that it's like, I don't know who the show is for.
Yeah, it seems like a lot.
Mm-hmm. I am still then in like a
half watch.
Like a weird like mood of like wanting to go back to the crime dramas. So
but you've run out of them?
Because I've run out of a lot of them. So I'm planning to either, well, I think I'm gonna finish Flowers of Evil because I did watch the first episode of that and then didn't watch it for a while because I do love Lee Joon-gi, and that is very much in the genre of shows that I watch. So I'm probably gonna try to finish that, and then after that I'll probably go on. There's a couple on Netflix one's called The Guest and the other one is called Possessed. Those are very much in my realm of shows too. And then When the Devil Calls Your Name is also one I'm thinking about picking up.
Mm-hmm.
But those are my drama plans for the future.
Yay.
Mm-hmm.
On my end, I am currently watching, I was gonna start a show, but then I just finished Tale of Thousand Stars, so I also have Lovely Writer, which is currently airing, which is about an author who he wants to write a fantasy novel, and he has, but he can only get his BL novels published, and one of his novels is getting turned into a show, and the main actor in that he's falling in love basically with the main actor from the show about his novel. So it's very cute, very sweet. The actors are very sweet. Love that. I'm planning on picking up the exact opposite of that, which is The Penthouse. Which
oh, yes, The Penthouse.
Everyone has heard. I'm also planning on I another very famous show is probably Put Your Head on My Shoulder, which is another Chinese drama where essentially about high school relationship that goes on into college, like a lot of Chinese dramas, and probably Word of Honor, another historical fantasy show. So those are my drama plans. I haven't started any of these shows. I've only seen the first 5 episodes of Lovely Writer, and they are the sweetest little thing.
Aw, that's cute.
Yeah, they're falling in love. It's kind of adorable. And we love realizing that drunk people can't consent in dramas.
Yes, we love being responsible humans. Like we need
more
of that, please. Yeah.
It's very fun because it's very, very funny because if you know Thai BL shows, it's that everyone's an engineer. So the fake show within the show is called Bad Engineer. And they're basically recreating every scene from 8 different shows that I've already seen, and it's hilarious. But they're also pointing out that they're hugely problematic, and they are.
Oh my gosh.
Hugely problematic.
That's great.
Don't know how it's very funny. And they're now, because he's like, they'll write a scene and he sends it to his publisher and he's like, more, I want more. And she's like, do this. But he's like, that's assault.
That's like, no, you can't.
In a book, it's not. And I'm like, okay, sure. God. That's how we get that's how we get all the shows, apparently. So that's a very funny distinction with that. So I want to see where that goes. It's 12 episodes. It's going to be very short. And the couple is the cutest little thing. I love the main actor. He is so cute, and his little glasses are adorable.
I do also love the bad engineer aspect. Like, that's funny.
Bad engineer. It is essentially they're just remaking every single show you already have seen. I've already seen. Yes. So, and he's also trying to write his second novel, which is where he is just writing them.
Oh, that's
what
cute.
They're doing. It's very funny. Yeah, it's so cute. I love it. So, that was our mini drama reviews. If people like them, we might do more. If people don't like them, we might do more. We don't actually care about our views. If we like it,
we'll do it again. Essentially what that means.
Yeah, if we want to talk about the show, because we talk about the shows we watch with each other all the time.
But it's been like a hot minute since we've done like K-drama content on here, so
we had a whole month of it. We needed to take a break.
We did have a whole month.
So yeah, that's been our episode. I have no idea when we're putting this out, so I can't even say what we're doing next week.
It's fine. It'll be fine.
We'll do something next week.
There will be an episode next week.
Yes, probably. So, if you're watching us on YouTube, we are on any podcasting sites, Apple, Spotify, Anchor, all of that. All of them. If you are listening to us on that, we also have fun bonus videos on YouTube, so you could watch us there. We also have our Twitter and our K-pop Instagram, which maybe by this point we've started using again.
Maybe.
I don't know.
We'll see.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll have tried.
It doesn't help that we're like the only people who know how to use Instagram, so.
True. But we'll attempt. And all the links are in the description, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.